Hello, and you're welcome to Global Business Insight, where we look at headlines from a deeper business perspective. Nigeria successfully launched its first domestic dollar-denominated bond, raising over $900 million and signaling a new chapter in the country's financial strategy. The funds raised will be used for critical infrastructure projects and development programs. And in the US, core inflation unexpectedly picked up in August due to prices for housing and travel, which were up, undercutting the chances of a 50 basis points Federal Reserve interest rate cut next week. The so-called core consumer price index, which excludes food and energy costs, increased 0.3% from July, the most in 4 months, and 3.2% from a year ago. Markets now see the FOMC cutting rates by 25 basis points at the September 18 meeting. American singer and songwriter Taylor Swift formally endorsed Kamala Harris, calling her a steady-handed and gifted leader just after the debate with Donald Trump on ABC. Flash polls confirmed that Kamala Harris clearly outperformed former President Trump at the debate. We will replay our chat on takeaways and bring any updated polls reflecting how it could affect voting as we get them. Apple was told by the EU's top court that it must pay $13 billion in back taxes, overturning an earlier decision in the big tech group's favor. The ruling relates to a 2016 case when the EU's competition chief, Margrethe Vestager, said Ireland had given Apple an illegal sweetheart deal amounting to a tax rate of less than 1%. Apple unveiled what it said was the first smartphone designed ground up for artificial intelligence, as it hopes loyal customers will upgrade their devices. We will replay also a chat on the launch. Hours after the launch, Chinese smartphone company Huawei said its new trifold smartphone will start at the equivalent of more than $2,800. The US inflation report was mixed. While headline inflation dropped from 2.9% year-on-year to 2.5%, about as expected, the core inflation, that's the ex-food and energy, however, remained sticky amid higher rents and costs for some services, rising 0.3% in August, higher than 0.2% expected and in the previous month. Analysts now expect 85% probability from 71% earlier of a smaller 25 basis points rate cut from the Fed next week, as Fed officials remain cautious on feeding any lingering price momentum. CME Group's Fed Watch tool also now see a roughly 15% probability of a 50 basis points rate cut at the Fed's September 17 to 18 policy meeting, down from 29% before the CPI data came out. According to Nigeria Finance Minister Wale Edun, the Nigerian dollar-denominated bond led by the Africa Finance Corporation garnered significant interest from both local and international investors, demonstrating confidence in President Tinubu's economic policies and development plans. It also sets a new precedent for other African nations, highlighting the potential of Africa's financial markets on the global stage. The 5-year notes have a coupon yield of 9.75%, and the issue was 180% oversubscribed. Also, this is an initial round of fundraising that ultimately targets $2 billion. Meanwhile, the yield on Nigeria's 2029 Euro bonds recently rose 11 basis points to 9.78%. These are all, in my view, very expensive borrowings, not even factoring other costs associated with Naira devaluation and also given the tight fiscal space. If Nigeria should be borrowing more, such borrowing should be from institutions that offer very concessional terms. Many are also unconvinced that Nigeria has yet to adequately tighten its belt and should perhaps pause any borrowings until a thorough re-examination of other options to reducing its portfolio through, for example, privatization has been explored. I watched the much-awaited Trump-Harris debate. Here are some of my takeaways. very revealing on some issues, yet lacking in substance on most. The Harris campaign have already said they are open to another debate, perhaps an admission of the vacuum in content. The Trump campaign are likely to agree only if they can do it with the network they perceive as fairer. Still, the Democrats must be pleased with how it went. Also, I do see that Harris is likely to get a better response from undecided voters. Already, after the debate, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris, urging her 283 million voters to do the same. Still, Harris carefully dodged the most important question on whether Americans were better off in the last 3 years than in the Trump era. Trump also dodged many questions like on climate change and underplayed many slurs based on events that he said happened decades ago, saying today's issues should be what is on the front burner. Ending by saying, why has Kamala not fixed some of the more pressing issues in her time as a VP? ABC was less persistent in getting Kamala to explain her many well-known flip-flops, often asking Kamala what she thought of Trump's bad record on A and B. We call that putting the answer inside the question. Fact-checking as the debate progressed was also clearly one-sided, and of course Kamala Harris took advantage. The debate revealed more of Kamala, who many wanted to hear from, and they did, and learn more about her. And like I said, Kamala's debate performance was better. She had all the lines clearly delivered and had the talk and debate technique, though I am unsure of how American voters will respond and if this changes the tightness of the race. Let's wait and see, as both sides will be rushing out new ads to influence voters. The bigger reveal for me, however, was how much more intensely divided America is, and this debate exacerbated the divisions. Obviously, the Democrats and Republicans do not see economy, the abortion issue, foreign policy, and immigration in anywhere near the same light. One can see that whoever wins the elections has a huge job in bridging the divides. Both Republican and Democrats in Congress are claiming victory from the debate, but polls after the debate, I think, likely will give Harris the edge, but not a material one. Still, today's debate reduces Trump's chances of a return to the White House. In the evening, we'll bring you any updates on the polls after the debate. Apple Wall Street analysts see iPhone sales boosted as the new Apple Intelligence features catch on. There is an enhanced Siri voice assistant, photo editing features, writing aids, plus free access to ChatGPT through a partnership with OpenAI, and the AirPod enhanced to deliver clinical grade hearing tests and also be a hearing aid, plus also new mail and notification summaries, all for a handsome price as we see this first wave of AI infused devices. Apple Intelligence will also be available on iPads and MacBooks. The iPhone 16 is in 4 models: the Pro, Pro Max Plus, and a base model. The Pro and Pro Max come with a larger screen and a more advanced camera, but not cheap, with the Pro coming in at $999 and the larger Pro Max costing $1,199. The chip said to be designed on ARM's next generation V9 architecture jumps 2 generations ahead, with the A18 up to 30% faster than the processors in the iPhone 15, and even challenging high-end desktop PCs. Said to be the fastest CPU in any smartphone. The Apple Watch Series 10 has a bigger display, thinner design, faster battery charging, and a new S10 chip for machine learning, and has a new sleep apnea detection feature. I've always thought that bundling medical features into the more traditional features as brilliant. You need that extra artificial intelligence plus health to lure buyers at a time when consumer demand for new smartphones is slowing. But when you buy these devices, you're also likely to add iCloud storage and subscribe to Apple TV Plus. Last quarter, Apple sales from digital services alone reached a massive $24.2 billion. Also, mostly underwhelmed, analysts said both Apple Watch and AirPods are getting hardware redesigns that dramatically improved user experience and set even higher bars for the wearable industry, while in comparison, the iPhone 16 family unveiled incremental upgrades. This is a long-term play for Apple, as we see many upgrading, maybe first from much lower models like iPhone 13 and fewer exiting the Apple ecosystem at a time when competitors like Huawei are not pulling punches in the market. Apple scores, in my view, an A for effort built on its innovation DNA, funded by a massive cash chest. Apple continues to lead as the most valuable company in US stock markets, well able to shrug off a fresh $13 billion European Union bill in back taxes. Oil trading giant Glencore and its former head of oil, Alex Bird, faced bribery charges yesterday in a London court relating to the Swiss commodity traders' operations in Nigeria and Cameroon. The charges consist of 2 counts of conspiracy to make corrupt payments to government officials and officials of state-owned oil companies in Nigeria between 2010 and 2014, and in Cameroon between 2007 and 2014. We will be following this case more from the perspective on what it means in terms of governance in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The question is not so much more about what happened or did not happen in 2014, but if corrupt payments are still today being made to government officials and officials of state-owned companies in Nigeria and Cameroon, and if the controls, checks, and balances have been made materially tighter. In Nigeria, the president is the petroleum minister. That's a red flag from a governance perspective, and he retains firm control of NNPCL, the state oil company, which is still fully owned by the government, even though it's been incorporatized. Allegations are rife that deals are less than transparent and not above board, although there is no direct evidence that bribery continues to taint the industry. Also, separating governance, regulation, and players in clear entities with enough checks and balances is yet to be fully achieved, though there has been some progress with the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act. European markets were lower as global markets focused on the release of the latest US inflation data. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq indexes were also falling as traders priced in a smaller Fed rate cut next week. Well, that's it from me on Global Business Insights. This is Bode Oshosami. Thanks for sharing and following or subscribing on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube and X. Again, thank you so very much for watching. Bye-bye.